I couldn't help but think as you mentioned the idea of like, well, how do they know before you went to the gym that you didn't pray or do these other things? I could see that as being a funny TikTok, right? Where you actually show like
content.
Yeah,
right.
I know.
I love that. I'll write the ideas.
A lot of times, like, you know, if you can kind of go into the humor of these stereotypes or whatnot, I think it's a great way to exactly. And it's a great way of just showing what the reality is and the struggle of being a creator. So you should show yourself like, you know, praying, like making breakfast, like doing all these.
I'm like,
doing all these amazing things. And then 7 a.m. is the first time that you create something, like post something online, and then you get all this judgment from it.
Wow, that's really clever, actually.
Take my notes right there.
Yeah, I really, I'll give you credit.
Yeah. I can also imagine the challenges that you guys have faced, like living in a content house, right? Like, so as of right now, what you're moving out of is the Triller house. Is that correct? Or?
Yeah, it's one of them that we live in.
Okay, it's one of them.
Yeah.
So what's it like living in a content house, and why are you guys moving out?
When we first moved to LA, we moved into a content house with like 8 other people, and that was very interesting. And then that was a year.
That was called the compound.
That was the compound.
Okay.
And then we moved out of there and moved to another house, which is where we are now. And we have only one other roommate, but he also does content. It's our friend Nate. It was a very interesting experience the first year we did it. Now, like, we're super close with him, so he just is like our brother.
Feels like a roommate.
Yeah, it feels like a roommate. But we're moving out because, I mean, our lease is ending, but like, we could have moved in with other friends and stuff like that. But I think we're both at the point now that we're like, how much more, this is going to sound bad, but it shouldn't. How much more is that going to benefit us? Like, I feel like we can be,
we did what it could.
It did what it could.
Gotcha.
It was amazing. We had the best time of our life. But now I think we should prioritize Mian Twins. Like, that should be our priority. Not people knowing us from the compound or from our roommates or from our friends. They should know us as us. So I think we're both trying to figure out what are we and like how are we going to build that and like make that a future career and, you know, have that be, you know, our own thing. We both for so long where I think we're so stressed about like how we can stand out. And I think a lot of our content, like it even showed people were like, we feel like we're losing the twin aspect of things, like just you two together, because we always had our friends in our videos. So I think we're both like, you know, now it's time to really show us two. So we're moving in together. We're gonna, you know, do a lot more like vlog style, a lot more raw content, so people could really see our personalities and not just watch us lip syncing, looking pretty in a TikTok. Like, I feel like we're both so over that, and I think we just want to turn everything into a more realistic, I guess, lifestyle change, whatever. I don't know.
Especially like the houses we were living in were so beautiful, but it also was not realistic.
It's not realistic.
So it was like, we're so grateful that we could have experienced those things, but like, let's take a step back and realize like, this isn't reality. This isn't what everyone kind of lives like. And
even
we're just glad to kind of be like living real life, like real life, if that makes sense.
I was gonna say, even to say that we haven't done laundry, like when you said that, I was like,
I hate
I'm excited to go back to do my own laundry. Like we were so blessed that like whatever, like Triller, who was the one that was paying for a house, like had people do everything for us. So like that's unrealistic, you know? It's
Not
real.
everyone
Not
has
everyone
that.
has that. Well, like we have to wash dishes too, you know? So I think we're both excited to go back to like normal for like the rest of
doing
our
chores.
To do chores. I don't know why.
Getting mad at who throws out the trash.
We're excited for that. Like that's crazy to say, but we are.
Yeah, when you start doing chores, you have to invent a third person, because then instead of being passive aggressive to each other, you're passive aggressive to this third triplet.
Right,
So you
like
come
this.
up with an imaginary name.
Okay, we have to do this. We'll have to.
And so my wife, for some reason, picked elves. So she just goes, the elves just left the shoes at the door today.
Wait, we have 2 cats. We'll just say the cats did.
Yeah, the cats, yeah. So she went, the elves didn't wash the dishes tonight. And she just picks on elves.
You know, I think those same elves come by our house now that I think about it.
Oh, that's so clever.
Isn't it funny how like everyone imagines success to be, you know, having a lot of staff around, like not having to do laundry, not having to cook, having everything on autopilot. And it's so interesting to me that once you finally experience those things of whatever that idea of success is, you almost start to miss the simplicity of things.
Definitely.
And I think I read that Bill Gates washes his own dishes.
Yeah.
And there's a certain therapy in it, right? But it's also like an ability to think creatively, detach from like whatever's going on in your life. So I think doing your laundry is, you know, kind of underrated.
Check up on you. to be checking up on you, Dhar. All right, you said it. I'm going to be checking up and messaging Laura again. Did Dhar do his laundry this week? Get Ella roast.
I know. I opened up a whole can of worms.
Yeah, you
I feel like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
No, but I'd say this, for a while, I thought success equaled money, right? And that's kind of what we're like taught in a way at like some points in our life. But something I've realized was I truly believe success equals happiness. So like when will I be successful? I think it's when I'm truly happy. And like, yeah, money's great. It's fun. You get to do cool things with it. And at times it can solve a lot of problems. I'm not gonna bash that and say that's not true, because it sure does. But I think that when, for me at least, from my experiences, I've realized that success wasn't, you know, because I made money. It was because like at times when I'm like genuinely happy with life, I'm like, I feel like I've succeeded. Like this is what great life feels like. So now when I work towards goals, and you as well, I think we both are chasing happiness more than
the dollar sign.
Yeah, the dollar sign or materialistic things.
Yeah. In the beginning, it's very different. When we first started doing it, it was like,
oh,
okay,
like,
like
it's
real,
nice.
it's money, money, money. Like you all, because we didn't grow up with a lot of it, you know? And that was like the end goal. Like, how can we be stable for the rest of our life? And now it's like, once you get to that point, it's so sad to say, because everyone's like, oh, you're only saying that because you have it now. It's like, no, like money is essential to live, of course, but you get to a point where you realize it doesn't make you happy. And I think Khloe Kardashian said it in an interview, and she got so much hate for it. Everyone's like, well, of course, it's because you grew up with it. It's because you have it now. It's like,
which, yes, it will solve.
Yes, it does solve issues. I will not like discredit that, but it should never be your motive for whatever you're doing. You should do it because you want to do it. You shouldn't do something because you don't want to do it. That's what I think.
Yeah.